I'm just gonna say it. The music in this game is amazing. Like, just the sound design of this game is insane. So, okay, this is High Fleet, Deus Nobis, whatever that means. But High Fleet. High Fleet is amazing. You know what? I should probably look up what Deus Nobis means so I don't look dumb on the internet, you know. But anyways, let's just start with the campaign. So, I'm just gonna restart that real quick. This was a little test slide. I've beaten this game before. I kind of suck, but I feel like it's cheating for, you know, a new let's play of this game, and I'm gonna start with, you know, extra 40 grand. That's a little cheating. So let's just do a brand new game from the beginning. We, Kuram Shah II, Emperor of the Romani, Great Duke of the lands of Haran, Monarch of Sehem and Karat, most graciously grant the title of Tarkhan of the Fleet to Grand Duke Mark Sayadi Salimsky, thus granting him command over the ships of the Imperial Fleet at his sole discretion, the number of which shall be in accordance with his title. Number of ships, I guess if you weren't a good duke, you know, you don't get anything. So may God grant him the wisdom to use the power with which he has been entrusted for the good and honor of the Romani. Issued in the city of Salem on the 9th month of the year 214 of the dynasty. Written by his Imperial Majesty's own hand. Something. Whatever that says. Okay. So, I'm gonna look like an idiot. I feel like this is Russian, but I could just be dumb and not be able to read cursive. I don't know, but designated codename Whiskey, Axis Level 2. Leave for the captain's cabin. Grand Duke, you must choose the ships that will join us for the Khiva offensive. Can you give me a hint? Take the red ones. These are the workhorses, and maybe 1 or 2 tankers for them. So, you know, I could go over, you know, all my crazy ship designs. It's kind of a, you know, if you've never played this game, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. So this is Festival. This is the strategic heavy cruiser, the flagship of the Romani. This is what they give us. It kind of sucks. I mean, it has a lot of defenses, has a lot of, you know, fancy stuff. Has 2 Elent dishes, has a fire control system, or FCR, fire control radar, and then it has IRS Mars, which is for heat, right? So, anyways. And then there's a big giant satellite dish, which costs like $10,000. As you can see in the bottom left, you know, I have 125 grand. It's not a lot. I mean, this ship is, you know, I couldn't even afford this other ship. I did modify it to my own design. Not very good. It's maybe slightly a different style than this, right? But this is the flagship. But I'm going to use my flagship. So the only difference, you know, as you can tell here, it's a bunch of Elend dishes. There's one on both sides. Mine kind of slimmed it down. I reduced it to 1 of each, which, as you can tell, cut like 40 grand, just that, you know. And then I changed it from this is, you know, more of a missile carrier for nuclear weapons, and these are anti-air missiles. So like if one of these is going towards you, this can shoot it out of the sky, right? So, and you need this, I mean, in order to do it. Yeah, this one. So, yeah. So this has a bunch of guns, has a billion of these, which, I mean, this is like probably the worst gun. It's the lowest caliber, and you're fighting up against things that are like this, like some giant friggin' auxiliary cruiser, right? So this ain't gonna do anything. So pretty much I changed it to more heavy weapon focus for the Mark II 180 Sarmat, and then I put 6 Sea Whiz. These are kind of work similar to the Sprint, but this, you know, I could shoot it like a hail of bullets, essentially shoots it out of the sky. And then I made it an aircraft carrier instead, which I like aircraft carriers a lot more than missile carriers. Missile carriers are very situational, but aircraft, I'll show you when we're playing, can get a little crazy, but I always forget that I have them. So if you're watching, you're probably gonna be like, why isn't this guy using his aircraft? You'll see why, because I always forget. So pretty much all the red ones are what you're going to use to actually like attack locations. You'll, you know, kind of play around. If you play this game, you'll see what I mean. Each ship has its own feel, but a lot of people like the lightning ones. They're very fast. You know, they can dodge everything. I pretty much made my own versions of all the good ships that I like, and you'll see how they play, you know. So I have the Ares, then I have the Mars, which are copies of each other. And then I have the Avarice, which is a more up-armored one. It has this ablative armor along the edges. Kind of sucks that I can't hover over it, but you know what I'm talking about. So the ablative armor like pops off the sides that catches missiles, more rockets, I guess. So, you know, it can deflect shots or rockets, whatever, kind of like in real life with, you know, tanks and armored personnel carriers. They'll also have this same armor design. This is ablative right here. But anyways, so I got 3 of these. I have this massive one that I made, the Claymore, which is essentially a better version of the Gladiator. But as you can tell, I went super insane, super crazy with the ablative armor, and then it has 8. No, don't delete it. This took forever to make. It has 8 Zenith rockets, which are very good in this game. But as you can tell, it's 40 grand. I only have 100 grand after these 3 ships. I still need fuel carriers, which, let me present you, the Aurora and the Helios, which I also made. They're very similar to design to the Skylark, but I kind of optimized it, and I believe I made it... Nah, it's a little bit slower, speed 350 kilometers an hour. This is 410, but this one just has more utility. So this has no anti-air missiles like this, the sprints. So I pretty much just added sprints and gave it, you know, slightly more optimized design just for flying these, even though I almost never fly them in game. Anyways, fuel carriers are boring, no one cares. So broadsword, similar to the Triumphant, but the Triumphant's 40 grand, which is ridiculous. And I guess it's a slightly better Yars. You know, I was about to talk all this shit about the Triumphant. Meanwhile, mine is more expensive than the base game, but it has 2 more missiles, which are these KH-15s on the KH-15s on the bottom, all highlighted in post. Make it easier. But yeah, so it has 4. I suck with these. I always miss because I don't use the radar ones because I play mostly dark, so I have no radar. I have pretty much the only way enemies can detect me is through heat, which I guess you'll see as I play. So this is the bear. The bear. It's just a really long, very basic Skylark. So I don't know why it's red. It literally has no weapons. So I don't know why the game marked as red, but that's that. So it's fast for the amount of fuel it can contain. So even with all this ship, the bear alone for 8 grand can give me an extra like 400 range, which is pretty good for like 8 grand. And you'll see why as I play more, because money is pretty hard to come by in this game. It's it's a little difficult. That's why in this screen I do kind of focus a little bit more, because this is almost like your build, unless you suck like I do and lose half of these like halfway through the game. But so this is your loadout. While you're playing, you could buy more ships, you could, you know, lose them like I will, and you upgrade them over time. So you do field upgrades, which I really like about this game. So even though, you know, it looks like this in the beginning, I could, you know, build up pillars around it, and I could add weapons, I could do whatever. And all these parts that are on the ship are like individually accounted for, I guess you would say. So you lose them as you get shot from different angles, and then depending on how broken your ship became, then you repair it. So in the field, and then that's when you got opportunity to change it, do whatever you want. It's pretty fun. I probably spent most of my time actually in the ship editor, just making these ships and then testing them, you know, balancing weight and all that. And the way you put your armor on it actually does affect like the momentum, the weight, and all that of the ship. So that's why all my ships are very, like, I guess lightly weighted or lightly armored, you would say. And That way they get like a high thrust to weight ratio compared to, I don't know, something else. Like, well, this is, you know, very fast. But something like this is very slow compared to this. Anyways, I'll stop talking. Let's just play. So we were days from departing from Khiva to begin our offensive when that strange Elem in the golden mask approached me. No Elem can endure the open air for long, so many of them hide their faces. I'd grown used to that. But this one was unlike the others. People began to whisper when he walked by. Other Elems called him Al-Sahir and treated him with particular reverence. I know that Daud questioned him. He tried to get him to talk about the people who came with him on the Sevastopol, the flagship, but he apparently didn't get very far. This Elem convinced the crew of the Sevastopol to take the ship to Ur, and that is all we know about him. I cannot imagine what he did to convince them, but in doing this, he earned our eternal gratitude. Without the cruiser on our side, the Khiva offensive would be impossible. Grand Duke. I could do voices, but no one wants to listen to that, So, I'm not gonna do voices. So, maybe next time. Maybe one of these days, I'll do voices when I get more time recording. So maybe, who knows? Grand Duke, allow me to speak with you. This was the first time I had ever heard his voice. The mask muffled it so much I couldn't discern his age. I know you hope the Tarkans of Garat will support you against Khiva. The infamous Omar Khan has found refuge to the northwest of Ur. I believe that he'd be a loyal ally to you. If you meet him, I kindly ask you to give him this. The Elem presents you with a small, delicate pot. The Elem bows to you and leaves. Okay, so played this game a whole bunch of times, like 6-7 times. It's very fun. I probably beat it once. It gets a lot more difficult later on, but the Elem bows to you and leaves. Look inside the pot, or entrust the pot to the head of security for the time being. Anyways, I played this game so many times that I've never looked inside the pot. I don't know what's inside. The guy tells you not to open it. Well, I don't know if he tells you, but he implies not to open it. It's very delicate. He wants to give it to this guy, so I always entrust the small pot to the head security for the time being. So a Tarkan has found refuge in the city of northwest of here. It would make sense to seek him out. Would you like a brief on the operation, Grand Duke? Certainly, Piotr Ignatievich. Very well. Our objective is to capture the Khiva reactor. The city of Khiva is in the northern reaches of Garat. It is protected by the governor's own squadron, meaning to force him out of the city. It is imperative that the reactor remain completely intact, which means that nuclear strikes against Khiva are not an option. However, we will face far worse threats to the success of this operation before we reach Khiva. According to our intel, there are 5 gathering strike groups equipped with nuclear weapons somewhere in Garat. I strongly suggest avoiding them at all costs. These are like the bosses, essentially the Roman bosses, Elden Ring, Demon Souls. These guys are like 5 Demon Soul bosses put together. So there's 5, but it seems like not a lot, but this map is huge. But these guys, I'll try to avoid them at all costs, like he says. Unless I have to, The strike groups move from city to city on average once per day. So while you're playing this, you can... Next hint, let's see. If the enemy spots us and has time to report it, range of detection. Strike groups will try to get close to us and fire missiles. This is why I avoid them, and I try to fast strike all these little towns. Mostly, I guess, decentralized, because my flagship will pretty much always stay back, while the squadrons that I send out will go attack individual cities, and I'll split those squadrons into other squadrons, and then it goes from there. That's why I brought 3 fuelers for 3 attack ships, or 4, however many. So we need to steer clear of them and track their movements at all times. Information about the movements of strike groups can be obtained through radio interception. This is a pretty fun part of the game. It's like a little mini game. try and capture them. You'll see. So, or by capturing one of the Toposcatter communication stations. Yeah. Due to Garot's vast size, the enemy has had to use these stations to send messages. And this is pretty much what you intercept when you're hanging out here, and this guy is communicating to Suva, this town. He'll be like, oh, I'll be there in 6 hours. And then you can kind of get the distance and do the math to determine, what kind of ships, just based on the time to distance, math, nerd shit, right? But anyways, it's fun. I like it. So, even one such station could supply us with priceless intel on the strike group's whereabouts, as well as the location of their aircraft carriers and their missile carriers. So, A for aircraft, N for nuclear missile carriers, and strike group for S. All of which are in extreme importance if we are to prevail in this operation. The aircraft carriers, for one, can deploy attack aircrafts from as far as 2,000 kilometers away. So, you have a little protractor. I believe that's the tool, hopefully. So, protractor to, I guess, measure 2,000 from this potential site, and that is the range that because the planes have to go there and back. So, you have to keep that in mind. If I am also an aircraft carrier sending them out to Suva or Bethel or Haran, whatever, we must always keep this in mind. And lastly, there are transport ships moving to and from between the cities of Garot. They are hardly, if ever, escorted and could be easy pickings for us. A captured transport ship could be quickly ransomed for a sizable sum in any city, Duke. We could really use some extra funds. Yeah, for sure. I mean, how much money I got? 41 grand. This is actually a decent starting point, especially this early on. So the size of these dots is how many expected troops are to be there, but this could be also misleading. A strike group can be moving here and I wouldn't know it because this dot stays the same. And that's why I have to rely on radar, stuff like that, which I keep the radar off most of the time because, while I could detect things on the radar, they could detect me with ELINT, which is electronics intelligence, right? And they can, I guess, see my radar pings through their ELINT systems, and then that's how they kind of determine, boom, I'm over here in from Hattusa, right? But anyways, the further north you go, the bigger the circles get, and the towns, the fleet HQs, the big ones, tend to be insanely defended. So you'll see, and these act as save points. So I can't really save at any time until I land. Well, it'll do like auto saves, that way you don't lose progress, because this takes a while to get to. But this is a save that I can, if I die, I could go back to Ugarit at whatever time, and I lost all my progress, right? I try not to do that. I like playing hardcore Iron Man, whatever you want to call. So if I die, that's it, and then the save gets restarted, because that's how I like to play these games. So anyways, so I have 41 grand. It's my radio, it's my radar. This is, I could focus it on a sector, which can be useful if I'm trying to track down someone, right? I'd leave that off. Ground, this is if I want to detect the ground, which becomes useful because, as you can tell, these little lines, these are roads that I'm detecting with radar on ground mode. So typically, actually, somewhere like in these big open spaces, I guess you have like locals that live in these hidden cities, which can act as like a kind of like a headquarters for my fleet, because they're friendly to our, moving through the map, because I guess we're getting rid of the occupation forces in this territory. So who knows? But they like us, so you could detect roads like this. And normally I kind of send out something else. But anyways, this is a lot of detail very early on. Let's just get started. Okay, so my instruments, pretty much everything on this UI, I could do stuff with. Intercom, I could launch my rockets, whatever. This is what I like about this game. it's almost like you're actually there. You know, you could use your ruler, detect or read out distances, whatever. Let me cancel that order. Okay, so because I was about to fly there with not enough fuel. So let's go buy some fuel and stop talking. Okay, so anyways, so this is the shipyard. This is the ship works. This is where, you know, I can kind of fix things up, you know, change it, buy parts, everything. So this is an introduction video. Future episodes, I won't be explaining too much of the detail. I'll just play it, you know, just in case someone's watching, never played this game, never heard of it. It's very fun. I recommend it. This is a game was created by one guy. I love games like that. I love projects where one guy just by himself, herself, himself, whatever, they just make something. It's awesome. And I wonder if he did the art and the game too, because that would be very impressive. So this is my fuel range. Fuel tanks is at 48%. I always just fill up right in the beginning and you know, it's about $6 grand, $7 grand, but it's worth it for this beginning. And then I'll kind of plan my routes along fuel storage facilities where I could get a better discount, essentially. And it, I believe, refuels faster as well. So this is where I could buy individual special ammo. So this is aircraft rockets, this is laser guided, it's prox fuse, armor piercing, and it's 100 millimeter, 180, 180. So that's determined based on the size of your gun on your ship. But this early on, I believe I have one, yeah, suitable for 3 ships, which I believe that's all of them. So I'm just gonna max out prox, yeah, prox fuse, and armor piercing this early is not really worth it, and it's expensive for not a lot of use this early on. It's better for up armored ships, essentially. So let's just start fueling, get going. Yeah, radar off. This is my heat signatures, so you can tell if a ship is flying based on this, essentially, which is useful if I'm doing like a stealthy attack on this town and I want to wait for the strike group to pass so I can hit it. So wait, yeah, okay. Anyways, let me just fast forward real quick, get fueled up. This is the time. When you play this game, this is the time to fill up all the way, make sure you're ready. But let's get started since this is going to take a little bit longer. So let's do the Helios and Mars full. Let's send them to Abad. Let's do Avarice and Aurora. Actually, Ares and Aurora. And let's do full. Send them also there. And
come back in one piece.
So this is my fuel range. Pretty much I only have enough fuel to go from here to where this blue line is. But if I turn around now, you know, I have enough fuel to get back. It'll make more sense. I didn't really show it too well, but next time I'm flying somewhere, I'll show what I'm talking about. So this is 1.5. I'm gonna split off the Ares from the Aurora once it's here. Okay, this is actually what I was talking about. So this second line, that's the furthest I could go, but this inner line, that's where I could go there and back. Normally, I do send people on essentially one-way trips. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta send it, and then so let me slow down the Aurora, because the Aurora is actually faster than the other ship. So if I didn't slow this down, it would beat it to Hattusa, which would be not good, because the Aurora and the Helios had no weapons, so it would just be me sending them out on their own to have fun.
Roger that. Good luck.
Split them off. Okay, and then this, almost done fueling, and then pretty much once I take these 2 towns, I'm gonna send this over to the fuel spot and then probably park it like over here, just to, you know, get it off the road, because as they said, the strike groups, everyone pretty much moves town to town constantly. So let's go back to this. This is about to start. I could probably do this with 1 ship for these 2 early towns. Normally I do like to do 2 ships per town, just in case I run out of fuel mid-flight during combat. I could swap out. So let's get started. This is gotta open this. Okay, it's 1v1. This is easy. I could do prox fuse, but it'd be a waste against this. This is no armor at all. Let's just bada bing bada. Oh shit, he's already sending missile. I don't really talk too much while I'm shooting, because I mean, this fight's very easy. Really. Yeah. I felt Max. Okay, at least one of them made it away. The triangle at the bottom, that was escape pods. I don't like shooting escape pods. I feel like it's bad luck. Yeah. But okay, so there could be survivors on the surface, Duke. If we don't save them, people will talk. We could salvage something valuable, something that we could sell in the city, and we could certainly use the money. It's true. But we must act quickly. The fire is spreading and it will consume the wreckage before long. So, and be careful out there, my dude. Some of the things you find may be too dangerous. So, there's no crew. Normally there's a, surviving crew right here, but yeah, I kind of hit him from above. There's no surviving that, unfortunately. So, as you can tell, these little things are counting down, and I kind of have to make a choice. It's paused right now, but you have fuel tanks and you have ammo. And then sometimes like rockets and shit. Those will explode. That's what the little triangle's for. And it'll take out random things. So I have a lot of time on fuel, and this is a good gun that I'm gonna pick up. So disassemble the hull or search the cabin crew. It's always, I like doing this. You get valuables. Unless I was super damaged, then I would go for the hull. But I didn't even take a hit that game or that round. So no, you don't want to reach. This is kind of why I like, okay, it's 1v3. So this is kind of why I like splitting them off, because while I'm focusing on one thing, I could be doing another at the same time. I mean, I guess it's a good idea later on to stick together, but this early on, I'm just going to spread them out. This is 1v3, I can for sure do this. Watch me not do it. So, I struck at night, so I guess they didn't see me. And maybe a little bit closer so I actually know what I'm hitting. I'm just kind of drift falling so that I don't use fuel. Okay. Almost blacked out. Oh shit. Those aren't Sea Whiz, but that's like, almost hit the retreat. Okay, hold on one second. Ooh. That guy almost, yeah, I'm not gonna shoot. Probably gonna take some damage. I don't like shooting when those escape pods are taken off. I'm here to do good. I'm not here to be an asshole, right? Almost. Oh, I almost rammed that guy. That was okay. Gotta focus.
Kill confirmed.
Nice. Okay. Fortunately, that ship hit the other ship, so that's fine. Victory. Took over a bot. Okay. Shit, this is a hard choice. Okay, so it's a hard choice. So I can search for survivors. There's a 50% chance of finding survivors, but there is also a dangerous element. I could die, essentially. So I have to put on crew protection in order to search for survivors. I always search for survivors. Just what I do. But by the time I put on crew protection, the fuel and the ammo might explode, which would kill the survivors, take out a bunch of shit. So I'm gonna have to leave some survivors to get fuel, then get ammo, and then put on protection. And I mean, depending on how low this gets, I might just, I got a bronze icon in the other place. Let me swap back. Okay, do that. Okay, I gotta keep an eye on this one. This is more important. So this is slowly getting over there. I could adjust the speed, but I'm gonna just go for it. Okay, so get this one finished. Let's speed this one up. I'll do this first. So let me get the rest of the ammo. Crew protection. Crew protection. And then survivors. I could have saved more, but I can't I can't lose people to save others. I mean, I could in a desperate scenario, but not enough time. I mean, unfortunately, some people died to make it. But, 28 rescues. That was a lot. That was more than I expected. Normally, when it's that low, it's like 2. So, damn. That means a lot of people died. That sucks. Okay, I'm gonna land this. I have almost no damage, but I'm just gonna land it anyways, just to show you. It's very fun. It's a little interactive landing sequence. So, and these numbers on the bottom, that's how much percentage faster a repair will take. Normally, massive repairs might take like days, but if I could land on multiple numbers, I could speed it up a little bit. So let's go for 14.
100 meters. Everyone get ready. Touchdown confirmed.
13 repair. Even though I landed on 14. Whatever. I guess it rounds down. So, if you position your ships well during landing, they can greatly accelerate repairs. 2 well-dressed young men ask to see you. Bowing deeply, they cordially invite you to dine at the house of the local Muali. Quandary. The room they take you to is well lit and spacious. Several guests are already reposing at the long dining table. The master of the house has saved the best seats for you and your companions. Fleet morale +1, which is nice. The excellent meal is followed by a slow, leisurely conversation. The master of the house addresses you. I have heard many stories of the Sayati wisdom. Would you be so kind as to answer a question for me, Grand Duke? 2 men are stranded in a desert. One carries a jug full of water. If both drink from it, both will die. But if only one drinks, he will have the strength to reach the village and survive. What would be the right thing to do? The man with water should drink it all. The man should give it all to his friend. They should split the water. Well, isn't this a quandary? So, I think he should give it to his friend. The room is quiet as the rest of the guests await your explanation. There is no greater love than the sacrifice of one's life for a friend. So saith Ishu. The old man slowly shakes his head, but if your fellow traveler accepts your water, would that not make him a murderer? Good point. I imagine there would be an argument, and then you both would drink. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna repair this. Yeah, I got like paint damage. It's gonna take no time at all, and it's free because it's like paint. It is good to get extra escape pods because all of my designs have the fatal flaw of the escape pods being at the bottom, and I always reach 100% escape pods wherever that statistic is. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. I don't see it. Okay, anyways. I always do 100% escape pod percentage so that all the crew can potentially survive if they need to. I could probably save space by redesigning it to only be 2. I can make these, I could kind of bring this out and I could protect it better essentially, but all the crew has to survive if possible, that's just how it is. So yeah, I always buy more because these get shot off almost immediately. So it's a good repair. I have a decent amount of money. I have full tanks. I could immediately go, especially because I got that +1 morale. So every time I attack a town, the morale will drop by 1 essentially. And then there's events, random events, kind of like the one with the Quandary, that give you plus minus to all sorts of things in this game. And I guess that's how you play your character. So incendiary rounds for a weapon I don't have. Sell those. Yep. I'm hopefully still recording. That would suck. Anyways, These both are getting a lot of fuel. This one's getting free fuel from the one I picked up. This is same. Her is done, so let's send her over here. It's gonna take 7 hours because this is the bulk of my fleet, and the slowest ship, which is the Sevastopol, is 172. So it has to travel, let's see, about 14,000-ish, 13 and a half. I guess if you do the math, you know, 7 hours, 172 for 1,700 kilometers, whatever I said, 1,400. Yeah, that's the math you can do if you want to be a nerd, which I will for sure do later on once I'm scared of the strike groups. You'll see. My math is probably not amazing, probably gonna get made fun of, but it's whatever. So I don't have to land either of them. I do like landing just to, I guess, role play it out. You know, like I'm descending upon the village, the town, whatever. Yeah. And that's why I make all my ships able to land, because you could, with a ship editor, you could get really cheesy and just kind of go crazy with it, have no landing gears, nothing. But I like playing it legit, which means designing it so that the ship can land without destroying this fire control radar on the bottom. So,
Touchdown confirmed.
there we go.
Success. Thanks for your hard work.
Got the mullet. Okay. Let's. So. Ooh. These are very good. These aircraft rockets at 340 millimeter. Oh my god. It's like 1,000. Hold on. Let's do quick math. Okay, yeah, it's 1,000 per rocket, and there's 37 of them, so 37,000. That's a lot. Is it worth it this early on? Possibly. And these bombs. Let's go. Let's go for it. Yeah. This is for the aircraft on this festival. And let's just. Oh god, that's way too much. Okay, let's. Oh my god, it's one of those games. There's no way to get it on. Oh my god. No. Okay, I have to do 175. I hate when games do that. Okay. No. Okay. Oh my god, that's gonna drive me crazy. Okay, so. Okay, so I have excess fuel. Now let's I'll do something real quick. Let's do that. Okay, so I broke off the Bear, which is the fuel container, with the Avarice, which is slightly heavier. That's actually this is the pairing that I like to do. It's the Bear and the Avarice, because these Ares with the Aurora and Mars with Helios. It's a little, yeah, I guess cohesive unit, and then they can split off. And then the broadsword, I always stick with the Sevastopol because this is useless by itself. It's a missile carrier, so I could, you know, shoot down people if I want. But just imagine how dangerous that is. Some guy's like showing off the ship, you know, training scenario, whatever, and he's like, yeah, just flip this on, you fucking point it over there and you shoot. Yeah, and then meanwhile. But whatever. So, okay. I'm always careful, even though I know I'm safe in these. Sometimes I get a little carried away and I forget that I didn't take over a sheath, and I'm just like going in like hot with a fuel carrier. Like, not good, not a good idea. So let's go this way to Kieman, Russian in, I guess. Kim.
Thermal signature detected.
Ah, shit. Okay. Infrared contract. The RST reports a heat target. Give me some advice. The infrared surge and track system detects and calculates the bearing of all heat sources. This is I have a feeling I know what it is. and I'm gonna track it down. Undetectable by the enemy. Okay. If a signal isn't strong enough, aim the system. If the if the signal isn't strong enough, aim the system with the control knob and focus it in a specific direction. Okay, yeah, you aim this just like the radar. The IR readings in this section will begin to display on the higher resolution screen above. So, I'm gonna point this real quick. So this, kind of hard to see if I overlay. So these are, I assume, yeah, okay. So these squiggly lines, this one's slightly higher, so that means within, I think it's like 1 kilometer for heat detection with the IRSRT that I have installed. I could look in the shipyard, but let's say 1,000. So pointed it in that direction. Yeah, okay. So right here means there's someone coming towards me, bearing between like 290 and 300. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's kind of focus that down. Yep, okay. Something like that real quick. So let me break off the Ares and let's send these dudes ahead.
Roger that.
Slow these guys down. Speed them back up. These guys, yep. Yeah, this is... I'm right up on that ass. Okay, let's go. Let's fucking do this.
Attention.
Yep.
Visual contact.
He did. Nah. I could never... I don't have a fast enough ship to get there before the alarm was raised. And I also submitted a humongous heat signature when I broke off the fleet. So before long, the strike groups will be changing course and heading this way. But if you have any aircraft carriers, they'll probably, and if they have any aircraft carriers, they'll probably send planes here first. The transport ship will change its course as well and try their best to stay out of danger. Either way, Grand Duke, the less the enemy is warned about our presence, the better. So this, I will bet money, is a transport ship. Yep. Pride ship by itself. So I probably could have just done it with the Aurora, or with the Ares, or I guess this one too, but... Yep, so it's auto win. Because he's by himself, and he doesn't want to get blown up for Cochrane. So... Riot danger because of the Castor, and this is a huge transport ship, so let's let's go together. Okay, and I'm gonna slow these guys down so they can catch up. Probably have to slow them down. Super, yeah, loiter, almost full stop. So, Cat caught up. Yep, full speed. It's 8 hours. Still have enough fuel. The Castor, they're just gonna have to deal with it until we hit this target. Originally my plan was to kind of do like a V, so I was gonna split off, boom, boom, and then have either of these go back to ooze, and then kind of go back, like, you know, leapfrogging essentially. But because essentially early on I want to just take all these out if I can. You know, there's story events that could play a part, which... no spoilers. So this is insanely slow. Okay, let's break off the Ares and let's do this. So
come back in one piece.
Full speed. That, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna show off the Avarice because we haven't seen it yet. So this is a slow-ish ship, but it has heavier guns, has a blade of armory and all that, and it's completely the top side. Which, oh god, okay, okay, hold on. Oh shit! I don't think they have the same gun as me. They have something. Try not to waste fuel.
Target destroyed.
That's fire control. Or, fire suppression. FSS. Fire suppression system, yeah. I'm gonna do ammo, fuel. I have to do ammo, crew, survivor, fuel. It's gonna be cutting it close. Rescue fuel. That kind of helps me out because now when these guys land, I'm getting fuel. Grand Suit. Oh. Okay. I totally forgot about these guys. See, I got too focused. Got too focused over there. Okay. Now it's dangerous. So these towns are sided with the other guys. I forgot the faction. Not the Romani, but the other guys. The Romani is us. These towns are on their side, or at least someone, village elder, whatever, on their side. So they reported us as being here. Dangerous is fine. It's when it's the red one, the next one. That is when the strike group will for sure know that we're here, because we've been here like 3 days if it turns red, essentially. I spent pretty much a whole day here, and that's why it's dangerous. I have to get fuel. Thankfully, it's a fuel station. It's going to be faster. But I can go ahead and do Mars and Helios. Take these guys.
Roger that. Good luck.
Got 25 grand for that ship that was slowly brought in. Okay, now let's go back down to the ground. Let's do this.
Fire reverse thrusters.
Little scratch paint in the top
Beginning
right.
final approach.
Coming in hot.
500 meters.
I might be a little bit too
300
big
meters.
for the 26. At least on the ablative side, I can knock off all my armor. Landing wrong.
100 meters. Everyone get ready.
Let's bring this in a little bit softly.
Touchdown confirmed.
Okay.
Landing complete.
That time I got a 26. So the other time I got like a 5, wherever. So, ooh, and the Tarkan's here. The guy I'm looking for. I totally was not paying attention. I forgot. So let's go meet him. A group of people from the ship approach you. They are all dressed in military uniforms, but do not appear to be armed. A tall Ulaim walks ahead of the rest. His face is open to the elements. A sword shows to its hilt from behind his back. All signs of a man of noble birth. Greetings, my lord, in the name of Ishnu. Ishnu is a central figure of the Romani religion and the point of contention in Garat. So some Elims might like it, some might not. So this guy, I'm not gonna attempt religion. I probably could, but let us do glory to Garat. It pleases me to hear this. Peace be upon you, son of Sayadi. I am Omar Khan. There's something I must give you first. Give a small pot to Omar. Omar's hands move carefully as he opens the pot. His eyes suddenly freeze in their sockets. Finally, he looks up at you and responds. His voice is shaking imperceptibly now. You sense that you sense that he is incredibly excited. Omar Khan +2. So that was auto victory. So essentially, you have to be nice. Talk to them the way that they should be talked to, and these level up. The higher this level, the more allied they are to you. If you lose this, they leave, essentially. Probably with their ship too. I don't think I've had that happen. I don't know. I don't think I've lost anyone, just because, I try to keep all of my allies close. I'm looking for allies to wage war on Kiva. Will you join us? You get the feeling Omar is expecting something else. When he realizes that this is it, he responds, "It will be an honor, Grand Duke. I want to meet the other Tarkans." Do you know where to find them? Tarkans scattered after the war in Kiva, but I've heard rumors of Tarkan living into the north of here. It's quite far. Thank you, I appreciate it. He came with a really nice ship, this one. Let's take a look at it. So this is the Paladin Mark II. This is essentially the Claymore that I probably showed off in the beginning, you know. So this is still a very good ship, and it's Now let's go ahead and what I need to do is get a second one of these, and then I can replace these guns. I don't like having like this because it feels off, you know what I'm saying? Especially because these, the red section over here, they don't converge with firing. So having essentially 3 different guns is not optimal at all. So it's actually, let's undo this one. It is 3 hours, or 0.3 hours. Let's fuel up, and let's sell the incendiary. Something like that. Okay. Grand Duke, we have captured a Troposcatter communication station. It will supply us with intel on enemy movements until they realize what has happened. Okay, so the strike group tactical. Tactical could be aircraft or missile carriers, and this is trade. So if I wanted to find another trade ship that I could sell. This early on, I have decent money. I'll probably do this if I had like 5 grand. Like enough to fly from here to there. But let's do strike group and tactical. Okay, so this is the strike group, the Dnieper. Dnieper. Okay, so strike group, Dnieper. Yes, I spelled it correctly. Okay, I'm gonna mark that there, and ooh, this is a Nomad missile carrier, or aircraft. It looks like an N. I don't know. Nomad aircraft carrier. Nomad AC. Yep, something like that. Let's stick to a naming convention. AC Nomad. Strike Group Dnieper. Wait. Belay that order. I almost made them take off to like way over here. I do that a lot because I'm used to right clicking, and right click is move. I just right click all the time. What was I doing? Oh yeah. You get fuel. These guys are going this way. Let us split those off. That guy is super close. 3 hours and a half. This is a half. Okay. So once this one's done fueling, which I'm... I'll let it fuel up. I'll park it like... I'll park it. It's the next fuel. I'll be able to leapfrog. Bloop, bloop, bloop. I could probably find a hidden city here. Maybe here. Normally it's in a very open spot, and I imagine if I land here, or like here, I could probably get someone to tell me where the hidden city is. So let me get back to this. Oop. There we go. These are the roads I was talking about. So you could also zoom in and follow the roads like this to find a hidden city. It is a little bit more difficult because the zoom is very zoomed in, and look at this large desert. That's why on this I have the ground radar, so that I pair these two up and they go kind of search together. Okay. Easy peasy. And then I get shot. Get shot down. Going in hot.
The enemy has been destroyed.
See, I look good now, but wait. But wait. So, okay, let me speed this dude back up. This one is essentially done. I could probably split off. That's why I have the Paladin. I might actually... Okay, hold on. Ares, Aurora, Bear. So, Ares and Aurora. Let us do this. And then that way, when you go over here, these dudes probably be over here, and I'll probably... Okay, this is thinking too far ahead. Okay. So... Because I can't really stay in a town too long. That's why I want to split them up semi-early. So I'm going to get the Paladin back to the strike group. The strike group's going to come this way. They're going to come this way. These guys are going to do a big, giant, freaking, probably circle, triangle, and I might buy a ship here. Or, where is it? These ones. The sword, this is where you could buy new ships. And depending on how much cash I have, I might buy like a cheap lightning, something that I could then kind of pair these guys off so that these guys can go over here while the strike group, these guys, can move this way. So I'm gonna do like an enveloping kind of movement, hopefully semi-close together so that these guys can provide support, aircraft carrier, missile carrier, for this as they're going up kind of together, essentially. It'll make more sense in a bit. Okay. Anyways, so okay. That is I always do that. Okay, so this is search the captain's quarters with where I could find important info, like where the Tarkans are. These guys said there's one north. I think. Hold on. Tarkan? Okay, so yeah, because it wasn't these guys, and it wasn't these guys. These guys hadn't even landed. So yeah, so there's Tarkan here, north, unless it's this north, and then this will probably tell me that there's another Tarkan somewhere over here, which this is why splitting off is useful early on.